Okay, so how'd you get started into where you are now? Kind of like what's that story look like? Going all the way back to what high school? I'm kind of thinking, where are you at in high school? Were you born here? Or?
No, high school was in Lebanon.
Okay.
And the war started in 75. And I survived the war a little bit. 79, I migrated to the United States on a student visa. And I landed in New York. 4 months with this jungle of misery, I called it, New York, coming from the Middle East and landing in New York and trying to exist or coexist with something so unfamiliar. But I came with the idea that I'm here for education and I want to go back to my homeland. And I came in to go to the agriculture school. And my cousin was living in Tulsa back then. And he said, we have a great school, Oklahoma State University. And I got accepted at Oklahoma State. So back then, I was living in Tulsa, and I'm still living in Tulsa. And I had to take my basic courses in Claremore College. That's where I went first, before I transferred to Oklahoma State. And it's a journey. Drove 3 times a week to Oklahoma State back and forth because I had no way of supporting except working in Tulsa, because getting a job in Stillwater with 30 other thousand students competing for the $3 minimum wage job is not going to raise a family or pay a tuition. Because when you come from out of state, you pay out of state tuition. And that was expensive. Versus local, they pay back then, let's say 50 credit hours, it was 150 for me. So when you take a full course, 16, 18 hours, it costs a lot of money. Plus, I was married and I had a child. So I was waiting table at the Sputter restaurant on 51st and Sheridan, still there. That's the only place where you can make decent amount of money in 4 or 5 hours at night, pay your tuition, survive, and drive back to Stillwater. And that's how it started.
Yeah. And then after that, what happened?
After that, I did work in my degree, having a landscape company and a chemical spray company.
You had a landscape company?
Yes, I did.
For how long?
For probably 2 or 3 years.
Okay.
Then I realized that the chemical use in the agriculture world, especially for pest control, that's the only cash money you can make a living at. It may have some side effect on your health on long-term use of chemical and being exposed. So I knew at that point that that's something need to be retired it soon. But before I came to this country, I was working with someone in the Middle East in the gold business. And that's something I knew about, the trading gold. Diamonds I had zero knowledge on. So between waiting tables and doing other jobs after college, I was called by someone working at a jewelry store. Her husband was waiting tables with me, and she said that famous saying to the Middle Eastern, "Hey, Adel, our security guy left the store, and I know you guys from the Middle East, you have some military background." I said, "Okay, what's your point?" "Well, we may need some part-time security. Can we hire someone?" I said, "Good. Yeah, I'll work." So the first week I reported to the store and I was watching. And what caught my attention that this country has you want to get engaged, you have to buy a diamond ring, period. So to me, the rule was, wow, interesting. So every guy gonna get engaged has to buy an engagement ring. It's like an unwritten law.
And that what feels like the only way it is to prove that you can provide to a woman. Like,
Well, it seemed
the
like
quality of the ring.
It's so important that you have to have a diamond engagement ring. Just like the state forces you to buy insurance, right, to drive a car. Well, so I don't care how dumb you are as an insurance agent. The law said, buy my product. What other product that the law forces you to buy? Think about that. So that is not a state requirement. It's a social requirement. It's cultural requirement. And I said, no wonder those jewelry, blossoming in this country quite a bit. As I worked for the first 3-4 months in that store as a security guy, I started paying attention to the 50% off and 60% off. And it's not that hard to discover that those are fictitious numbers. And I was watching the amount of people that came in versus the amount of people who purchased or came back to purchase. It's about less than 10 to 12% of people who walked into the store bought. And in my mind, I said, what's happening to the 85%, the people who did not buy? Where did they go? So when I asked the operator, the owner of this particular store, don't you think those numbers gonna not adding up in people's mind? That's why you're selling only X? Especially when someone offered you a $5,000 on a ring that you priced at $8,000. Your cost on that ring, I knew that because I started learning cost, is probably less than $3,000. The guy paying you $5,000 offer, but you're stuck on your made-up number of $7,000 or $8,000. I said, what a missed opportunity. But the gentleman explained to me, no, they'll come back. No, they will know value. The issue is other stores can match it and beat you by $200, $300, $400, and they will win the sale because they didn't come back. The 80% didn't come back. So that's when the mathematics started working for me. But remember, back then I was still a very poor individual. I didn't have the resources.
And were you like early 20s?
Yeah, so I was about 25, 27 years old, working 2-3 jobs at that point. Yes, I do have a degree in agriculture. Yes, I do have experience in a lot of things, but it's not easy in Oklahoma to start an orchard and sell crops, and I don't own any land. So I said, wow, that's interesting. You have a country where the unwritten law said you have to buy a diamond ring. Interesting. So I tried to advise the owner, the operator, what if you set up a business that you own, that you can control, to absorb all those losses, those people that keep leaving you because of your fictitious prices. Put another price. You're already spending money on advertising. Name another location, like they do outlets now, they do other places. Name it something else. Create your own competition. I was talking to this guy at his own house. The man was sitting on his table, and when I finished telling him what you should be doing, he was cutting a coupon from the Tulsa World for a Mexicali Border Cafe for $10, all-you-can-eat fajita. And he handed it to me and said, don't worry about the business, Adel. Go take your family to dinner tonight. And he handed me the coupon. That's the day I left. I said, I know there's no way I have a future with this individual or this company. There's a better way of doing this.
And is that when you Did you start Israel Diamonds, or was it already existed?
There was no Israel
or
Diamond at
was
that
the
point.
name, or no?
No. I started as jewelry replacement services because I understood how the business worked and to work with insurance company. So I went to different insurance companies, and one of them gave me a desk in the replacement processing claim office. So when the jewelry claim came in, I would evaluate the jewelry claim and advise them how much they should pay, or that was a fraud, or there is no way this ring was broken this way. So it lasted for about maybe 6 months. That's how it started. And then they changed the program. The person I was dealing with got laid off, and they changed, just like insurance company do change. And at that point, this is how we started. I still was working on other stuff, making a living, but then I had to lease a small office building in downtown, and I was working by appointment, running ads in the Tulsa world, in the classified ads, and advertise diamonds, and people come in, and that's how it started. Small, one by one. It took almost 5 to 6 years before we became at least well-known. And that business was built on each client pretty much becoming a referral center by protecting their interest, by showing them the truth from day one, that this gimmick, this fabricated sales, this myth behind this industry is just but a myth. Here how reality, it's a product. That's how much you should paying, not 2, 3 times, 4 times the price.
Did you know Israel Diamonds would become what it is today?
It's hard to tell what I predicted, but I know I was on the right path because I have learned years and years ago. When you protect people's interest, your interest will be protected. It's a natural flow of things. Someone, genius, not me, of course, whoever said, people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. That's important. I live and die by this principle. Protect the other person's interest, and you shall be protected. And it served me well. It served my people well.
How do you do that?
Make sure that sometimes you have to protect people from their own, not ignorance, unknown. People generally trusting. And people in this industry victimize that, use it against this trusting individual. Because the common word used to strike me, well, my family deal with this ex-jeweler and he's a reputable jeweler. You hear that word quite a bit. Can somebody once define to me, what does reputable jeweler mean? Every store, it seemed like the reputable jeweler.
There's always someone that's willing to vouch for him and say, oh, I've been there, or
Okay.
I've worked with him. Like, at that point, it makes you reputable.
Reputable. So when someone tells me, when a jewelry store say it's 50% off, that is not a reputable statement. That's a lie. You're selling me on the fact I'm giving it to you at half the price. Well, we can prove it in 2 seconds. That's a lie. That automatically should invalidate the reputable definition. Anytime when a store tells me it's on sale, I have a problem with that. Now, if they're selling milk or tomato that have an expiration date or rotting, I've seen it. You go to Research, you go to Walmart, sometimes you see tomatoes at half the price. Well, yeah, they're half rotting. That makes sense because the price of tomato is, let's say, $2. Now it's 75 cents. Yeah, that's a sale. That's true. I just don't understand why would you want to put a diamond on sale? And how will you give it to me for 50% off? So what happened to the guy who did not buy it during the sale? He got screwed indirectly, or he got screwed directly. Which one? Screwed.
Yeah, either way. Yeah.
Either way.
Yeah.
That's the issue. That's what I'm saying. You have to protect other people's interests. And that's what we did. That is what I do. I lose sales, of course. People don't like blunt information because it messes with their history. Nobody want to feel being screwed or make him feel that I made the wrong decision, because some of them did. Their parents made a mistake in something, and I understand that. But the truth is the ultimate for me, and that's what we live and die by.
Okay, so then what determines the actual price of a diamond?
There is published prices.
Like by the industry, just
By the
publishes,
industry
and
standard,
they all
of
kind
course.
of
Yeah,
determine,
there's
like vehicles.
Like vehicles, of course. It's called Rappaport, and suppliers play within those rules. There is a basic price guide for everyone.
Wasn't there like an issue with like the lab grown diamonds and some grading system changing?
That's really the most irrelevant at this point.
Okay.
Because the lab-grown diamond now been on the surface for 4 years.
Yeah.
The victimization process by the natural industry has been going on for 75 or 80 years. That's been happening. So that didn't happen in the last 3 years.
Okay, so now we're talking about kind of building trust with the market, building trust with clients, and taking care of them. What are some of the biggest scams that happen in your space?
Biggest scam in the diamond industry, or biggest scam in the jewelry business in general?
Yeah, in the jewelry business in general. What are some of those scams and red flags that you notice?
The word sale is a scam.
Yeah.
The only one left in the store, that's a scam. The let me call my manager and see if we can help us with the price, that's a scam. The unpublished prices, that's a scam. That's a scam. Can you imagine if Amazon now start their website with the product and there is no pricing, no published pricing, right? How can you be a diamond store with no published pricing? Even if you publish it at your egregious numbers, at least you know. But when you don't publish, mean you're hiding something. You're hiding something. People cannot compare. They're not going to drive to 15 stores anymore. They want to know. And the minute they don't see you publishing the actual price, you've been sidewind on the side. You're done. So from day one, I believed in publishing prices. Extreme transparency. That's what it is.
Or do you like publish them online, or just have a sticker
Well,
price?
back
Or does it
then,
matter? Or
I
like,
took
because back
ads-
then there wasn't the website, right? So publishing was more traditional. It was in the newspaper.
About 15
Right.
years ago, I remember I saved enough money to put a full page ad with published diamond pricing for the first time in life, pretty much, in the state.
Because nobody would publish it. No one wanted to publish pricing.
That would be impossible because no retailer will publish the actual wholesale price. So I published it in the Tulsa World. I did. And hell broke loose. Hell broke loose.
I believe it, because
And
they're all
the-
like, "Oh my God, he's
Yeah.
publishing the pricing. You're setting the standard
Right.
in the market."
But that's
Yeah.
caused a retailer a problem because people start reading like, how much did I pay? And that's when the pressure campaign started against Israel Diamond. They fought us tooth and nail, the retail jewelry industry, they did.
What happened?
They tried to go to any possible court, try us to stop us from publishing. Lucky for them, they had the ear and the budget that they can influence the Tulsa World not to publish certain information,
Just like any media company.
just like any media company. And there is certain advertisement I could not publish after that. I don't care how much money you give them, but I can never match what the retailer was spending as a collective industry with the newspaper.
Yeah.
So we were subject to, you can say this, but you cannot say that. That's history.
Huh. So that's frustrating. So at some point you had to transition in order to continue marketing and advertising, right? And it wasn't that anymore. So at some point the internet came out with, what other traditional methods, or did you just have to wait until the internet really kind of, because we're almost like late 90s at this point, right?
We were the first to have a name on the internet. I'm not a technical person, as you may know, right?
Yeah.
I'm not a technology person. I still use flip phone, right? Okay.
Sometimes I wish I had one.
Yeah. So, but I had a person that used to work for corporate America, and she had knowledge about technology and websites. And when she was telling me, like, what? I have no idea what you're saying. But we had a presence online. Even the first, no jeweler's been anywhere yet. The word online was not even discussed. And this small company, Israel Diamond, had a presence online. I cannot tell you the detail of what it was because she was running it. And it was a gift from God that this person was knowledgeable. And that's how it started. But what truly launched Israel Diamond into the nationwide exposure, let's put it this way. It's not our effort in advertising. There was a Williams company, there was other companies that in the late 90s, they were the biggest in Tulsa, and they had a lot of young people in the 20s and 30s in their technology center, hundreds and hundreds of employees that they were working downtown Tulsa and on Owasso and some other places. Before the burst of the technology, before we had issues with the economy, these guys, Williams was one of the biggest supplier of clientele for Israel Diamond at a certain point. And it's a referral system. These guys refer each other. They will go compare prices. They will go check, and suddenly, literally, I'm going to say 30, 40% of the business was coming from these kind of guys. And the economy turned for them, that industry, and a lot of them left the state. But when they left the state, they took us with them. And suddenly I'll get a call, let's say from Minnesota.
You can run, but you can't hide.
You got a call from Kansas. My buddy friend, refer me. And the general approach was, let's say, Tulsa gentleman working in Kansas, and he heard his buddy in the new company buying an engagement ring. And he say, before you buy it, why don't you call Israel Diamond? Give him what you're buying and compare the prices. So suddenly, we have an unpaid, uncompensated sales force that we did not hire. And it generated the referral business to us. You've been to Israel Diamond.
Of course.
And you've seen...
It's the only place I've bought a ring.
Right, okay. And you've seen sometime, if you stay there past 4 o'clock, you're going to see 10, 15, 20 boxes FedEx going. I don't know a jewelry store in Tulsa, Oklahoma will ship anything anywhere to anyone as far as the clientele. So over 25, 30% of our business outside the state of Oklahoma. Not because people like Israel Diamond, but they know how to read, they know how to verify prices. That's what the internet made it easier. Now you can see anything in real time. You can feel it, see it, price it, versus calling and try to check everything. That was the early seeds of the growth. It started by being what I refer to protect people interest, and they will protect you. That's what I meant by that.
I love that. So I know that I've been shopping in the past. I'm married now, but when I went shopping, there's times where I went to some competitors and I found that the same ring, same diamond, same setting, all of it, the cut, the clarity, the color, it's all the same. And I found pricing between $4,000 and $28,000. That's a huge difference. And I know there's a lot of retailers who get away with that inflation, right? The inflated price. If I can get the same thing for $4,000 compared to $28,000, I start questioning why. Like, why is there such a big gap in that? How do they get away with still selling it at $28,000? These are some of these major brands, right, that are national, and they're selling these diamonds at outrageous pricing. How do they get away with that?
It's not illegal. Should be. But at this point, I don't blame these retailers anymore. Because I can see 20 years ago, Nothing was easy to verify. But now with smartphones, all you have to do is just enter the information that you're seeking. The minute a salesman tells you it's on sale, put that salesman himself on sale. Run. Run. Because everything is published. It's published. There's no more, and it breaks my heart. I mean, just last week, a gentleman, he's in the cattle business. He's the man that you want to really spend Thanksgiving dinner with him. He's that much nice of people. He bought a 5-carat lab-grown on a ring from a mall store, from the mall. $15,680, literally. His fiancée, friend, saw the ring. That friend was Israel Diamond Supply client. And she was telling her, you know what, a beautiful ring, and he paid this and this. She said, and the lady advised her, did you guys check with Israel Diamond? No. Why don't you just check with them? What for? We already bought it. He said, well, when did you get it? Last week. Well, do they have a return policy? Yeah. Well, why don't you go check with Israel Diamond just to make sure? So they came. He did not show me the ring first. It was in his pocket. He said, and he gave me, what did he want to buy? He want to buy a 5-carat. He gave me the style. He showed me a picture. I said, yeah. 5-carat, certified. This is the grade that you want? Okay, that's a certificate, right? Yeah, okay. It's $5,900, $5,960, something like that. I saw this gentleman turning kind of like when you have indigestion. The gentleman was very uncomfortable. And his fiancée at this point looked at him like, wow. Said, is it too much? Said, no. And I don't have to tell you the rest of the story.
Because he just spent $15,000 on.
He paid it.
Man,
lucky for him, it was still within the
return window.
Yes. So that just last week. How many other people that their money has not been returned or they will never know? That's what's so sad. But it's a lot easier now to verify those numbers. It's a lot easier. But protect yourself. The minute you hear the word sale, special, that I keep warning about, that's your cue. So the basic formula I share with our client now when they come and they ask me, when we help them how to go shop, we teach them. Whatever the price at the end of the day, the minute when you start leaving the retail store front door and the price keep dropping, the final price, if you divide it by 2, that's pretty much Israel Diamond Supply price. You should assume that. You should be very close. That is not a lot of information to understand. Especially you shopped, you know the grading system. It's so simple. You will learn it in 2 minutes. You know the clarity, the color, the size. Everything has a certificate now. You don't even have to know. Just compare the same certificate. It's available. It takes 5 minutes. I don't mind getting paid $2,000 extra for my time as a consumer. That's a lot of money. So it's not, we make it so simple for them to understand how to look for the sign of manipulation. That's what we teach people.
So can someone come in and buy a ring if they find it anywhere that's cheaper and then resell it? Or should they try to find a ring that's the best price and then resell it later? Or does it hold its value? Or is it like an investment? That whole topic, like a lot of people think that they can go and buy diamonds and buy them at a lower price and just go out and resell them later, or they're an investment. Is that true?
That's all a myth. Jewelry stores are not an investment center. Jewelry stores are not JP Morgan, or Fidelity, or Charles Schwab's. The word investment should never be used. The expectation of appreciation of this product in the long term. That is misconception, that is misleading, and it's wrong. And I will challenge any consumer to test what I'm about to tell you. When a jeweler that claiming he's giving you the ultimate price, the lowest possible, that no one can beat, that this is like the gospel now. This is what it is. That's the last piece on earth. I want to give it to you on sale price for $10,000. That's my bottom line. I'm losing money. I have to sell it. Have that jeweler sign a paragraph that said, you, Mr. Client, can come back to my store anytime if you're choosing and sell me back that magnificent Cleopatra-style design, the ultimate. And me as a jeweler, I will pay you half of the money that I'm collecting from you today.
I remember that. I was going to talk about that too.
Yeah.
Yeah. The buyback.
Buyback, meaning you're telling me what a great price you're giving me, right? You're not making that much profit. You're almost losing.
Yep. I'm going to buy this diamond for $10,000, but it's on sale.
Yes.
Yep.
Find me a jeweler that will sign this paragraph. If they do, buy it. Buy it. Call their bluff. That would never happen.
You don't think they will?
So far, we have about 18, 19 people that we hand them that because they challenge me that they're giving the best price.
And would they get it appraised by somebody else in order to kind of verify its value?
Well, here's the issue. Appraisal uses retail values, right? Mm-hmm. It's marked up 2.5 times. So appraisal means nothing. Appraisal does not tell you the value. Appraisal should tell you what is the stone is. But appraisal in general use retail value. Anybody who believes as far as the appraisal is the value, that's misleading. That's misleading.
The insurance company tells you on a certificate or a piece of paper or whatever what the value is of that diamond or that ring, that if you lose it, it gets stolen, whatever, that there's a value associated to it. Right?
Up to.
So it's up to.
But insurance companies sometimes call me and somebody has a ring from some retailer and it's appraised for $40,000 and the insurance company can replace it with Israel diamond for, let's say, $19,000, right? So they're not going to pay you the $40,000. They're going to pay you the equal replacement value that they can obtain. And we get into trouble with a lot of clients from other stores that, wait a second, I have it insured for 40. Yeah, I did not. That's what it costs to replace. I'm sorry that your jeweler inflated it that much, but that's not the insurance company's responsibility to pay you this fictitious price.
Would you recommend insurance?
You have to insure it.
I have to.
Of course. Because, I mean, between people losing it in Grand Lake or at the restaurant or at a resort somewhere or get stolen, that is reasonable. You have to insure it, but not for the 3 or 4 or 5 times markup appraisal prices, especially if you bought it from a retailer that's already marked up twice or 2.5 times the value. And then you double that. Now you have a big problem on your hand. You have this expectation. I bought a ring for $10,000 and it's insured for $50,000, right? And you think if I lose, I'm going to get $50,000. That's misleading. You're paying a premium, additional premium for no reason, and that's not what the insurance company is going to pay you. Yeah.
But you get that, you see that big fancy number, and you're like, "Oh, okay, I'm going to cash out on this ring."
Just a number.
Yeah.
There's no. It'd be like, can you imagine? You bought your house for $300,000, and now you have it insured for $1 million. So if anything got to happen, it's insured up to $1 million. If reconstruction is going to cost $350,000 or $400,000, they're not going to write you a check for the $1 million, would they?
No, okay. They're just going to cover it up to that amount. Okay. That makes sense. Okay,
yeah, that's pretty much it.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm a guy shopping for a ring. I'm nervous. I've got this lady that I want to buy a ring for. What would you recommend that I do now?
Read.
I want to buy a ring. I need to go read. I go to the internet.
Read a few things. Exactly. First, you need to read the signs of what you want. Because I've seen a lot of guys come up with their own ideas. And I always ask him, like, did she tell you that's what you like? No, that's what I want. Bad sign.
Now, you're not wearing the ring, are you?
Bad sign.
Yeah.
No. With this day and age, girls now, they have about 10, 15 different styles that they like. And it's all come from generally a school of designs that you can pretty much narrow it down to. I've seen a lot of problem with guys when they're stubborn about they're going to pick the design for the girl. The average girl comes in with her friends to Israel Diamond, tries about 15 to 20 rings on. And I always tell the gentleman, you may have 19 chances of being wrong. Because if it's take her that many rings to decide on the one, how on earth would you think you're going to pick the one with one shot? So I try to tell him, let's not do that. You want to present an engagement ring? Put it on a simple solitaire. As a gentleman, pick the diamond. Pick the shape of the diamond. Pick the size of the diamond. That is up to you to decide, right? Unless she's adamant and you've been talking to her, and let's say she wants an oval shape. But because you love the heart shape, you think, oh, I'm going to buy her a heart shape. If she wanted a heart shape, she would have told you. But she keeps showing you a picture of ovals, and you go buy her a heart shape, that's a bad ingredient for a good cake. I'm telling you right now. Because I have seen the disappointment on their faces when they don't participate. So that's what I said. We need to protect people from themselves sometimes.
What do you think the significant other really cares about? You know, the size, the sparkle, the design or style? What do you think
Style
is
is profound, because style is just part of the individual character. And if you don't know that, don't make any decisions. Because this is not something that you're going to put it in the drawer or on the shelf and you can come back and, no, that's something that's going to go permanently right here on her hand. Make sure you know, or make sure you will know.
What makes it timeless versus like a trendy ring? Is there trends and styles in the industry, or is it? Are they all timeless?
It seems like now, whatever some of those platforms like Pinterest, whatever the hell all their names, they dictate. Things are changing all the time. Like suddenly, I'm seeing now the rebirth and the resurrection of the marquee and yellow gold. 5-6 years ago, the marquee didn't exist. Suppliers that had large marquees, they were recutting them into oval because nobody was buying them. So there is no more permanent or long-term shape or design that is really staying for 2, 3, 4, 5 years anymore. I don't see it. There's constant change. So you better be ready, because people are creating their own designs now. They have access to design tools, and why not? And I've seen some beautiful design come from the public. Beautiful, creative, because they have vested interest themselves. Just, used to be in the music industry. You had certain labels, certain companies created who's going to be on the scene. Well, when they start having shows like The Voice and the American Idol and some others, you start seeing exploding talent that people weren't owned by anyone. They came in and they showed their talent. I see it in the jewelry business. They come up with something, oh, that's genius. I love it. Now, we may guide them in certain modification, but I welcome that. I really do. So there's no more dictation by a industry that you have to buy this ring now.
Do you ever make custom rings, or can I bring in my own design and my own ideas and you build it?
As long as it fit the criteria within the guidelines, yes. Because sometimes people want to put, let's say, a certain shape on a design that doesn't go. I cannot make it. Meaning physics has to work. And pretty much, I'm going to say 90%, we don't change anything because I like what they're seeing. I don't like what they're providing.
Especially if they're happy with it as well, right?
Well, we'll make sure, because sometimes what I do, we will make the prototype before we produce the piece so they can see it. And it's inexpensive. It's not that hard, to make a prototype for $200-$300 in silver and CZ, where you get to see your ring before you make it.
How often do people pick the wrong ring? How often does that happen where they come in and they're like, oh my God, I made a mistake. I picked the wrong one. Or he bought the ring and she comes back to return it or trade it.
That doesn't happen, believe it or not.
Really?
And that's what I try to tell the person buying the ring, that listen, I tell them the future, meaning, and I say, listen, the future is nothing but a history you don't know. Let me share with you why I tell them what your good intention might be the wrong intention or the wrong result. We have some gentlemen that insist that's the design he wants. Okay? I'll produce it against the recommendation that we make. And let's say the girl comes back, she wanted to get it sized. She walks to the store, and she's never been, let's say, to Israel Diamond at that point. He surprised her. And she started going through the cases, and she started oohing and ahhing, like, oh, I like this. Can I see this? Can I see this? That doesn't happen when the girl and the guy, or vice versa, whatever, they have a common understanding what is that they're getting. I don't see that. And when the girl comes back with that condition, she's not going to go back and tell him, I did not like the design. She will keep it. And I've always tell them, that is not a great result. You're spending this kind of money. It's something so personal. Make sure you're doing it right.
What's one of the biggest mistakes that men make when they go shopping?
Being more involved than the woman in choosing the ring.
Does that happen?
It does. It does. Especially on the details. Especially on the details.
They pay more attention to the details than...
Yeah, I mean, just like you would think it's going to go on their hand, not her hand. And I'm thinking, wait a second. That's what she loved.
Yeah.
That's what she loved. She's telling you what she loved. That is not something that you should impose on the person. I think but it comes from a place of love. I understand that. Like, he's so proud of what they think she likes. But she's telling you what she likes. Don't overthink it. Keep it simple.
Kiss it. What does the future hold for Israel Diamonds?
It's a changing world. But
where do you want to take it?
Whatever the truth, help me take it. As long as I can tell my story with my clients and being able to protect their interest, God knows where it's going to go. I mean, we've been solicited many times to go open some other places, some other states.
Or do a franchise.
Something like this, It doesn't work for me. Because the core people that we have at Israel Diamond, 18, 20 years, same people. How do you duplicate that? Israel Diamond is not just a product, it's people. Because they understand the clientele. They don't see him as walking dollars. That's not how we look at it. And that's hard to duplicate. Very hard. We hired a lot of people from the industry. They didn't last 30 days. They could not subscribe to that philosophy, protecting people's interest. They didn't understand that. It's just like foreign. I'm a foreign guy. I understand foreign. Yeah.
The customers that come in, what do you wish they would know before they left?
Hopefully, they get immunized so they won't be subjected to the attack or be susceptible to the BS of this industry. That's how we perceive it. Like when you give somebody immunization, let them understand the truth and let them make that decision. Are we going to win all the time? No. But that's not the intent. Enough people will understand that.
I love that, man. That's exciting. I mean, There's a lot of good conversations. Well, what questions do you have for me?
I will say, help us spread this message of knowledge and protection to everyone who's willing to listen. Because the amount of resources that get taken from the public is painful. It's not $50 or $20. Based on your own comparison, you have seen $5,000 and $6,000 and $8,000 difference on a 2 miles distance.
Or more.
Right? That's a
Oh my
lot.
God. Yeah, the scale I told you I wasn't kidding about. It was that big a difference. It was $20-some thousand difference.
It's not that difficult.
No.
That's back to that. So you as Sooner Marketing, I mean, you've done a great job and you have some good people and you helped us at least be noticed. And that's very profoundly important because it takes, there's a lot of competing voices and the truth may not be the loudest voice. May not be. So that's what I see.
Appreciate that.
You're welcome. I have to say, I'm surprised how you can compete yourself in this day and age with the what I call the big players. Because I know when I come against the big player, it's not that easy. I'm really surprised that you are able and capable of competing with the big boys. Really, it's kind of impressed me. Anybody who can make a living on their own, to me, it's just part of what made this country great. The problem is not easy. People think it's a great mean it's easy. It's not.
Great's not easy. Being great's not easy. It requires discipline and much more.
I mean, you're committed to your trade. You're committed to your thoughts. That doesn't mean you're going to be successful all the time. And I hope to God you'll have the people that you surround yourself with that carry your vision and your message. Because by yourself is going to be tough. And it's getting tougher by the moment.
Yeah.
Yeah, I see that.
Yeah.
So keep up the good work.
Thank you. Appreciate you. And yeah, I'll definitely be carrying on this message.
Thank you. What a pleasure.